Are my teeth good?
Hello, Sabrina Getler. How are you?
I'm great.
How was the ride?
Exhausting.
Exhausting.
Too many semi trucks around here.
Yeah. Where'd you come from, though?
Indiana.
Okay.
Northwest Indiana.
But you don't just spend time there. You're kind of all over the place, right? Palm Springs and Houston and
Palm Beach. West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Half the year, and Houston, Texas, half the year.
But you're from?
Northwest Indiana, Crum Point.
Okay.
So my whole family's here. My little nephews are here, so I come up here at least once a month and hang out with the family. Visit.
Are you here now for the holidays?
Yes.
All right. When do you go back?
Probably January 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are you going to do while you're here?
Hang
See
out
family?
with the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old nephew. So
okay.
They're super fun, and it's fun to spoil them and play all the Christmas games and spend time with some family.
Very cool.
So it'll be fun.
So I met you. Did I meet you through Allison?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
2020.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
All right.
COVID years.
And you've been doing cost segregation pretty much the whole time, right?
Yeah, I started it at the middle of July of 2019. I started.
Okay. And you're still doing it?
Still doing it.
And you mixed that with some baseball stuff too, right? Weren't you Houston Astros?
Yep. I worked part-time for the Astros for about 8 years.
Okay.
So that was my part-time fun job to get me out of the house because I work from home and travel a lot. So.
What'd you do for them?
Worked in marketing.
Okay.
So in spring training, I was a shooting star, did a lot of marketing, in-game entertainment, worked with the kids, player appearances, was on the field a lot, just doing marketing in between innings, just a lot of fun stuff throughout the game. And then in Houston, I worked for the shuttle crew. We worked with the kids club and would do hospital visits, events, player appearances, just anything to do with the fans. Really interacted with the fans and had a good time with that.
But you used to do spring training, if I remember right, because sometimes our Zoom calls, you'd be at spring training, if I remember right.
Yep. So spring training, I was there January through March, and then when the season started, I'd go back to Houston and work April through October.
Do you miss it?
I do.
Yeah. If you had a chance to go back, would you?
No.
No. So why? And I kind of know the story a little bit, but why did that relationship end with the Astros? Do you mind me going into that a little bit or no?
It's all good. It's all good.
So tell me about it.
Yeah. So at the end of the season in 2021, so we went full season, full capacity. No restrictions really for the COVID stuff.
Okay.
At the end of August, they mandated the COVID shot for full and part-time employees. So I had an exemption. They denied it, and they fired me. So.
Okay.
And then that was right before we went to the World Series. So that was September 11th. I got the notice. They said, take the shot or you're fired. And I said,
now you had some legal exemptions though, right? If I remember.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I had religious exemptions and I also have medical exemptions, but I didn't disclose the medical because I didn't feel like it was any of their business. So,
What's a tough deal?
Yeah, it was not fun after 8 years. Then we went to the World Series. In 21, we lost. And then, of course, last year in 22, we went all the way and won the World Series. So it was not a lot of fun being out of the loop with that and watching all my friends celebrate. Like, happy for them, but
you had friends on the team, and you've maintained those relationships, right? Because you called me last year, 2 years, and said, hey, I'm in Chicago. I'm going to check out a White Sox game. One of my friends is pitching. So I think some of your relationships have stayed, right?
Yep. Some of the, the fans, the players we weren't really supposed to interact with, but you see them around, you say hi, some of the family say hi. And just a lot of like the employees throughout the organization, throughout baseball in general, like it's a family, becomes a family. And when you're with them for almost a decade and you love it so much, like it's definitely feels at home. So it was a tough thing to lose for sure.
It hasn't stopped you from doing what you do professionally though, right? And I know you did that. That was a profession, right? Obviously, but really, your bread and butter has been cost segregation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
for sure. That was just my part-time fun job. I was in commercial real estate for several years before I got into cost seg. And then cost segregation came up, and I'm like, how have I never known about this? Been in real estate for 10 years, commercial, residential. I did some notes, bought some non-performing notes, commercial finance, portfolio analyst. I was across the board. And when cost seg came up, I'm like, this is too good to be true. Well, wasn't too good to be true, and I'm like, it's a win-win for the client, the CPA, tax planner, broker. It's just for everybody. It's a tax strategy we use, and it was easy to get into. I work from home. I work nationwide, and it allowed me to have the lifestyle I wanted. So the Astros was just a part-time fun job, and It was kind of a blessing in disguise that they got rid of me because I've been able to focus on my business full time, and that's really excelled. So.
And you've done some things. You've really revamped, right? You've built that website. You've made some good partnerships. I know business is booming for you right now.
Yep, it's been real good.
So I introduced you to some people, and I don't think a lot of people know what cost segregation is. So if you were to give me a 20-word high-level overview for the person maybe that's just watching this that might want to research it later, what do you do?
Yep. So we do studies that are engineering-based studies, and we'll look at the building as a whole. And instead of depreciating it equally over 39 years for commercial or 27 and a half for residential, we analyze up to 100 building components that are really in an earlier depreciation life. So you can take anything in 5, 7, and 15 year and depreciate that in year 1 up to 80% bonus for 23 and 100% for 22. And
So a business owner is still getting the depreciation. They just get to do it quicker.
Yeah, so it's about 20 to 25% of the property we're moving to an earlier life, so they can take that depreciation now, and then over the remaining 39-year life of the property, they're going to still take that 80% bonus or that 80% depreciation over the 39 years.
So who uses this? I think many moons ago when you were first explaining this to me, right, we had that lunch, wherever it was, at Poorhouse in Naperville. What was that, 1,000 years ago? I think you explained to me that you used the hotel analogy, right? The hotel buys $5 million worth of carpets. The IRS allows that to depreciate over what? I think it's...
Yeah, so carpet would be like 5-year life. So anything found in 5, 7, 15. So carpet, windows, lighting, cabinets, painting, landscape, signage, down to the stripes on the parking lot. That's all considered that earlier life that they can depreciate today.
Okay. So how fast you could take it from 5 years to what?
So if it's in 5, 7, or 15 years, it's considered bonus depreciation. So you can take all of that, 80% of that in year 1, if it was purchased and put in service in 2023. So that's the bonus depreciation.
So what does that mean though to a client in net dollars?
It's about $70,000 in tax savings per million in building cost.
Okay.
So it's pretty substantial.
What about the person that's flipping homes or doing small commercial properties? How does that play into them?
Well, if they're flipping homes, cost seg probably isn't ideal. We recommend that you hold the property at least 3 years, because if not, you're going to have to recapture. You're going to have to pay the IRS back. They're going to give you some of that depreciation ahead of time, and if you flip it, they're going to say, hey, we want some of that money back because you sold the property. You didn't keep it long enough to actually capture that depreciation.
Okay. What about, property investors that are landlords, they're tenants. This is an ideal situation for them, right?
Landlords, yeah. So anybody who owns rental properties, residential, or any kind of commercial. So short-term, long-term, rental, residential,
okay,
or any kind of commercial. If you hold for 3 years or more, it's advantageous.
Well, I think understanding tax, being tax efficient with your monies and your investments is an important part of any investor's outlook, right, when they're dealing with it. So how come, where would somebody step in and talk to you over maybe their accountant? Or do accountants do this? Because I think that's where I'm a little bit lost, because while you're not an accountant, this is something that you could help accountants process or facilitate, right?
Yeah. So for the 4 big accounting firms, they usually have a cost seg department that will do cost seg for their clients. Okay. But we work with CPAs and accountants, and we're like the third-party back office department for those CPA firms. We're the engineering-based company that will come in and give the third-party opinion, and the IRS actually prefers that over the CPAs doing cost seg. The CPAs may say they do cost seg, but they're grabbing the low-hanging fruit. So we're required by the IRS to capture the maximum that's allowed by the IRS.
Okay. So what's the roadblock then? Why is everybody not doing this, right? Because that's what doesn't make sense to me. Like, this seems to be such an obvious thing to take advantage of, because tax savings today are savings where you can put your money towards new properties, other investments. Yep. What's the roadblock?
A lot of people just don't know it, or they don't understand it fully. A lot of CPAs, even, like, a big part of my job is helping to educate the CPAs, because they don't have necessarily classes on this in-depth part of the business. So we help to educate CPAs and teach them why cost seg is good for their clients and how it can benefit them and their clients. A lot of people just aren't familiar with it. It's starting to come around now, because, like I said, I was in real estate for 10 years before I even heard of this. Like, that blows my mind.
So how does this happen? Like, how do you fall into something? Because I didn't know what cost segregation was, and as you explained it to me, it took me a little bit to understand it. So how does this happen?
Yeah, I was networking with some of the people I had in the real estate industry, and on LinkedIn, somebody referred me to my business partner, Paul, my mentor. He's been in the business for 20 years now. So he explained it to me, and I didn't believe him at first because I'm like, this is too good to be true. I've been in real estate. I've seen, the highs and lows of all the hype. Everything sounds so good, but you get into it, and that's not always the case. So he showed me the ropes and his, income from the past couple of years, and so I decided to give it a shot.
And that's why you travel so much still?
No, I just travel because I like to.
So where were you the last time I talked to you?
Oh man,
I think you were in California. Is that possible, or is it Arizona?
Right, Arizona.
So why are you? Is that because you've got a client base across the country, or is it just because, like you said, you like to travel?
Both. So okay. I'll try to get clients in the areas that I really like to travel to. So I'll go visit them and do the site photos while I'm out there. I'll work with clients anywhere, but not really going to go to Minnesota to visit clients in the middle of winter. So send somebody else out there to do that.
I suppose that makes sense. All right.
But yeah, if I can make a business trip out of a little hiking trip, then I'll do that. So.
All right. Are you driving back tonight to Crown Point?
To Crown Point, yeah.
You're not going to stay here? You're not going to get
No.
You're going to do the drive?
Yeah, I have to be up early for a meeting tomorrow, so.
Okay. Couple hour drive?
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half, not too bad.
Okay.
Hopefully the traffic will be better.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the next couple weeks we've got Allison doing this. Now, are you still doing her podcast? Weren't you on a couple weeks ago?
It's been a little while since I've been on with her. Yeah.
All right. I did that pretty religiously. I don't think I missed a Friday in two or 3 years. Probably.
Yeah, we had a solid run going where we were.
We did. We had Rolf on there. We had, you name it, right? Hundreds of people, not hundreds, but probably dozens.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
It's a good group.
I built some really good relationships through there.
Definitely.
Have you stayed in touch with anybody?
Yeah, a couple people. They've sent me some deals. I just got done closing 2 apartment deals with one of the guys.
Really?
And he's got 3 more he's closing by the end of the month. So, yeah, that's exciting.
All right. Yeah, maybe I should do that again.
Maybe.
I think she's doing it the first Friday of every month. It's been a little bit, right? My mornings have been busy.
Yeah. I think it's 8:45 Central Time.
Is that when she starts it still?
I think so.
I should probably do it. She's probably mad at me. She's coming on next week. I think
she'll let you know.
I think she's going to come on Tuesday. And that might be one of the things that she probably will call me out on in this format. We'll I'll just have Nick edit it out. Can you do that?
It's going to cost me.
It'll cost me a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, for a little bit we did the thing here, if you remember.
Yeah.
You
the in-person meetings.
We had a couple of in-persons.
That was a good turnout.
It was a great turnout. And I think it was a good group of referrals.
Yeah.
I think people were sharing it. I just think that for some people the drive wasn't worth it, right? Because people have to quantify their time, right? They've got to rather monetize their time, if you will. And so I know there were some really good relationships that were built. Tim we're gonna be doing one of these conversations with Tim on Saturday.
Nice.
I've developed quite a relationship with Tim.
Yeah.
He does a lot
Tim's
of
cool.
He does a lot of my legal stuff now.
Yeah. Met him at the Cubs game, which was awesome.
We did.
We should do
another
game. I
forgot about the Cubs game.
like that.
Who's buying this?
Even though I'm a White Sox fan.
Should we have Tim buy?
Yeah.
We'll have Tim do the Cubs game. The Cubs game was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bruce was there. I don't think was Art there. I did another Cubs game with Art. I think that was fun.
Yeah.
Allison. I think we had a pretty good run. We should probably try to pull that group back together, don't you think?
Yeah. Next summer, let's do it.
The problem is, I think people get pulled a lot of different directions with work. I know I do.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of committing to it, right? Getting it in the calendar. It's like anything else.
Yeah.
Whether it be touching base with clients or setting something like this up. Because this was 2 years, Nick?
I think we came down to those 2 years.
I think we started this process 2 years ago. And we're doing the first one here just a little bit before.
That's crazy.
Right,
I remember you talking about it in your old office.
And then we moved offices, right? We kind of grew out of that space, moved into this one.
Yep.
Had to get the setup going. It's been a process for sure. I'm glad we're finally doing it, though.
Here we are.
Here we are drinking tequila, which you brought. Who is this? The George Clooney tequila?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty smooth.
It is pretty
Casamigos,
smooth.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's kind of lousy I made you bring it, if you think. Right?
It's all right.
But,
Merry Christmas.
I appreciate it.
Got that and an extension cord for Christmas for me.
I did. The extension cord came in key, so that's important. So, like I said, I think doing this, I think it's important for people to understand who they're working with, if that makes sense. And so I think understanding your background a little bit helps them put maybe a personality, right, to who's going to be handling their cost segregation, their strategies, right? So I know when I referred you to Ralph, and we clearly can't say their last name, but I think, because I haven't done the process with you, I haven't had a need to, right, with the business I'm in.
Yeah.
I think it started with something called the survey or an analysis. How did you start that process with him? I kind of forgot.
It's okay.
Sorry.
That's all good. Yeah, we can run a free estimate. So all we need is the property address, purchase price, closing date or date put in service, and the cost of any renovations. And when they were started and completed, we can run a free estimate, look at the numbers, and see if it makes sense for the client to move forward.
So you need some pretty high level information, or do you get into the nitty gritty? Because I think you called it a study 2 or 3 years ago, right? And I think some of it gets fairly elaborate, doesn't it?
Yeah,
depending on the property.
Right. The actual study is pretty elaborate.
Okay.
We have the engineers and the tax accountants at our home office, which is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
They do the actual study. So I'm like a
Okay.
sales rep for the study. Yeah.
So you're not doing the study yourself, right? You're not crunching the numbers, right? You're introducing them. So you've got call it a team of experts at home office that are taking this information, comparing it to whatever the IRS allows or doesn't allow, and then they're presenting it to the client for whatever their cost savings might be.
Yeah,
does that sound
they'll
about accurate?
analyze the building components of the property.
Okay.
They've got software, engineering software. We go out and take site photos. We look at appraisals, blueprints, and site plans if the client has those, and that will help kind of determine what the building is made out of. The components of the building.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm the sales rep, the client relationship person. Work with the client and.
Well, here's what my clients told me about you, if you don't mind.
Oh,
right?
boy.
And it was a compliment. They told me that they were comfortable because they knew that you were running the point. You were quarterbacking the plan, and they knew that there were other analysts, parties, accountants, you know better than I do, that were kind of doing the study, if it makes sense. But you were there to facilitate questions and make sure that the process went smoothly so that everything came through exactly as it should be. So they felt like you were, I don't remember their exact words, but you were a professional at quarterbacking the process, I think is how he put it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of it in a nutshell? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and for customer service, I think that's an important part of business because nowadays, I feel like if you have a little bit of customer service, that goes a long way. So I respond within 24 hours or less. Like, I don't go to sleep until all my emails are cleared out and people will get their answers, and always available by phone or text, and just want to be there for my clients. So
yeah, we'll get all that. I think when when we get this video launched or however we're going to do it, I kind of leave that to the people that know what they're doing. We'll make sure that all your links are there. Is there anything else that you think might be? I feel like we're missing something. Did we talk about the dumpster, what you're throwing out? Did we talk about that a little bit? I think we did.
I can talk a little bit more about that because a lot of people
give me a little
that.
bit more because I think that, like you said, that's an element that they miss.
Yeah, so it's called a partial asset disposition or PAD. So say a building owner has a property in service for at least a year and they do major renovations, anything over $75,000. Say it's in service in 22, 23, they have $1 million in renovation. So we can do a partial asset disposition study on the renovation. So it's considered cash for your trash. So as all the old assets are being thrown out and put in the trash, you can deduct that. And then you cost seg all the new components going into the building. So that's a pretty significant advantage that a lot of people miss.
Is there any way to capture that once it's done, or is that something they need to be proactive about?
It needs to be captured in the tax year that it's put back into service. So if somebody completes the renovations in 23, it's put back in service, and they try to do the partial asset for 24 during the 24 tax year, it's not going to work. The IRS won't allow that. So it's got to go for 23 taxes.
So when do I call you? So when do you want to get involved? When can you best quarterback this for a property investor? You don't want to come in the 11th hour, do you? Or after these things have happened, right? Because that makes it more challenging. Yeah,
I mean, we can come in after the fact, but I always say as soon as somebody's closing, or even we'll do estimates for people who are looking at properties or, properties that are listed. But if you come to us before the process is started or the property's closed, then we can at least kind of look and maybe give a little bit of guidance. Like, for example, if somebody's going to do, like the apartments I'm working with now, they're doing renovations. Well, you can advise them to finish the renovations in 23, if it was in service for 22, because then they can take 80% bonus on the renovations put in for 23. If they wait till 24, then it drops to 60% bonus. That was part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. It's 100% bonus. Anything purchased after September 27th, 2017, up until through 22. And then 23, it dipped down to 80% bonus. 24 is going to go to 60, 25 to 40, and it's going to phase out. So we hear that the House is trying to extend that that bonus depreciation, but it's all political, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. So hopefully it gets extended because it helps a lot of people.
Well, I feel like we've talked about a lot. I think that I missed that we should probably touch on.
Another thing that's kind of important to know is if you're a qualified real estate professional, so that means 750 hours or more working in real estate is something that the CPA can help designate that title. Then you can take the benefit from the cost seg study and offset any other business income or any other property rental income. And also if you're filing jointly with a spouse, it can offset their W-2 income or business income. So they always say marry a doctor or a real estate professional because the tax advantages that has is pretty significant. And if you're not a qualified real estate professional, then the cost seg benefit's going to offset just the income on that particular property.
What if you're already married? Is that and they're not a doctor or a real estate professional? Does that mean that bridge has been crossed?
Well, it means then you can just take the benefit against the property itself instead of against other income or W-2 income.
Well, that's a good answer, I think.
Yeah.
I think you should
don't get a divorce because of that.
I wouldn't do that. I think this was good. I think we have a lot to learn from you, right? There's obviously more to learn, right? We didn't cover everything in detail today. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's surface.
What does it cost? And I guess before we kind of start to wrap this up, if you will, what does a study or a survey? What does it cost a business owner to at least get an analysis done?
So for a free estimate, it's free. No cost for that. To actually do this study, for smaller, anything under 500,000, I usually price it around $1,950, which is our absolute minimum. Anything over 500 is about 3,000 and up. All the way, I don't usually price my deals over 10,000 unless it's something crazy big. I just got done doing a $20 million cost basis hotel, and I priced that one at 9,900. So, and their benefit was over $3 million. So, pretty good ROI.
Yeah, I think so. It just seems to make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the free estimate will kind of, I think, point people in the right direction. You're going to give people coaching. At that free estimate, you're going to give them really good advice on whether or not they should move forward if it's worth the investment, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And we kind of pride ourselves in not just being, a cost seg company that's just going to throw a study your way and leave you. Like, we want to be the consultant that's there for you to help if you have renovations in the future or questions, down the line, and kind of coach you through that. So
it's like, I guess then one of your... you have to have the ability to really work well with accountants then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And sometimes they're tricky to work with.
Yeah, I think anybody who's a professional, right?
Yeah.
People see things their way.
Yeah. But once you explain it to them and kind of ease them into it, 10 out of 10 times they've been really, really appreciative of just the process and just kind of the lessons that they've learned. I mean, it's a learning experience for everyone. So.
Well, I know a handful of accountants locally that refer you, right, and totally trust you. So that's probably going to be an easy fit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Accountants and tax planners. Tax planners are great because they're the tax strategists, so they're always looking for different strategies to really reduce that taxable income. CPAs, a lot of them focus on just filing the tax returns. So a lot of times you want to work with a tax planner that can kind of work with the CPA to really get that NOI down as much as you can legally.
Okay.
So keep more of that cash to reinvest it or, put it in your business somehow.
All right. Well, if you ever end up in back in pro baseball in any capacity, we should do this again. Maybe we should do it again. Anyways, I think, right? I think I learned a little bit more about your business. I think our audience did too a little bit, don't you?
Hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Well, everybody, this is Sabrina Getler. It's been wonderful. Thank you for the drive. You have a long drive home.
You're welcome.
And then you're going back to where after the holiday?
I'll be back in Crown Point for the holiday. Then I go back to Florida. I'll be in West Palm. I'm still a fan of baseball, and since I work from home, I've got clients in Florida that I like to visit down there.
And then if it's not West Palm, then
I'll be back in
you do
Houston.
Arizona to Houston a little bit too.
I go to Arizona a lot too. Yeah, I'm on the road a lot. I like
you've got a tough life.
Hey, man, it's a dream life that I've built.
I rarely get south of I-80, so that's why that's where we are. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks for having me.